Hello, everyone. How are you? Good afternoon. This is Judy Ann. As always, coming to you as on Sundays for our Sundays chat. So I am going to be talking about career development today. Hi, Mark. How are you? Thanks for joining us so far. We're going to be talking about career development today. So if you could be so kind as to share this live, so at least when we get started at the top of the hour, well, a little bit 2 minutes beyond the top of the hour, but at least when we get started, everyone could start from the beginning. Okay, great. So, and I see Angela, who's going to be with us today. Hold on, let me bring you in. Hi, Deacon Robbins, how are you? Hello, hello. Hey guys, can you share the live for us, please? Hey, Ephraim. Hey, how are you?
Hey, how's it going?
Good, good, good. No issues this time. Hey, Dexter. Hey, Jay, Larry. So, guys, I would love if you could be so awesome as usual to share this live before we get started. We do have Angela Anderson here, who is a #1 HR expert, and she has some vital information to share with us. So we want everyone to benefit from the information. So the way to do that is for you to share this live, and that will be just awesome. So, hey, Larry. All right, so in the meantime, we will share to the different groups that we want to also add it in while
Yes.
you're doing that for us, okay? Before we kick off, so just give us 2 seconds. Okay. All right, guys, so okay, we've just shared it once and sharing it again. Okay. So Angela is sharing it to her different groups and pages also. So because we want as much people to benefit from this information for us before we actually kick off. So guys who are watching us so far, hey, Anthony, how are you? So how many people have shared so far? I'm not seeing a whole lot of sharing. Come on, you guys are being selfish. Come on. Be nice. Okay. So I don't know where you guys are from in every state, but I know here in New Jersey it's been a little bit cool and rainy, cloudy, but still a good day. All righty. You all ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, perfect. All right, guys. So for those of you who have already joined us, thanks for being on here with me. As always, this is Judy Ann Chung, and I'm the leadership coach within Coaching You Upward, where I focus primarily on serving emerging leaders as well as empowering single women. So one of the topics that we thought was crucial was career development, because in having conversations with different people at different times, some people automatically think that they really should, the company should be the organization that is responsible for their career development. And then some people, go to the point of getting upset and complaining about the company not doing what they want it to do, etc. But the truth is, who's really responsible? Is it a partnership? Is it the organization? Or is it you? Or something else, right? So that's one of the questions that Angela is going to answer for us. But as I shared with you before, her name is Angela Anderson, and she is a #1 HR expert within her organization. And I'm going to also forward over to her what else she wants to share. But before I do that, I've noticed Kevin, London, Rick, thanks for you guys for watching us so far. Please feel free to share this live. So Angela, over to you.
Okay. Hi, guys. Thanks for having me, Judy. I really appreciate it. I'm Angela Anderson, the #1 HR expert. And I've had my business, the #1 HR expert, for about next year will be 10 years. So I do HR consulting. I do recruiting for companies, small to mid-sized companies. I also do professional resumes for individuals, as well as I teach people how to break into human resources, a very rewarding career. And I've actually done a course, and it's 15 online courses that teaches people how to get into HR. So all of my information, you guys can look me up at www.onehrexpert.com. I'll go ahead and leave that in the comments below. So then that way you guys can have an opportunity to take a look at my website. And if you need any of the services, of course, reach out, and either me or one of my representatives, customer service reps, will get back with you. But I really appreciate Judy for, looking into career development and what it means to individuals and people that are trying to advance their career or even transition their career, because I think it's very important to look where you are and where you want to go in the future. So definitely Judy has a platform for this, and she has her own business consulting business as well. So we've decided to partner up and just see how we could work together.
Right, perfect. So yeah, and that's a perfect example there, because me doing the coaching business, as I said, I work with emerging leaders and single women, in terms of whether or not you've been divorced, you want to re-enter the workforce. What does that look like? So partnering with somebody like an HR expert will give different resources that we will be able to work with you together to be able to give you that, meet that career goal, or even just finding your passion, finding your purpose, whatever it is that you want to work on, and, with your upward mobility. So what we're going to do, we are going to ask for your dynamic and interactive participation, because as you know, by my life of now, we always kind of laugh, even though we talk about serious and healthy, good topics. But part of my personality is to have fun no matter what I'm doing. Okay. So having said that, in order to do that and to add more value to you, right? Instead of this, Angela and I talking back and forth, you present some of the questions that you think from a career development point of view that would be helpful to you in having a HR expert here ask the questions. How often do you get to have an HR expert right, across from your phone, okay, or your computer? So anyway, so here's your opportunity to do that. And Angela has also just dropped her website in the comment section. So of course, feel free to always explore our site. Okay. So guys, having said that, for the ones who have joined and I was not able to acknowledge you just yet, hello, hello, hello. And again, we're having Angela Anderson, who is the #1 HR expert, and she's going to be speaking on career development with us today. And again, we're asked for your participation. So we're going to kick off on that note. All righty. So we're talking about career development, but I think before we even kick off into that, let's define what that is. From our HR perspective, what is our definition of career development? How would you define that?
Okay, so career development, I actually took the opportunity to research and look up the definition. So in that process, career development, it says, is a process that forms a person's work identity. It is a significant part of a human development and spans over an individual's entire lifetime. And that's so true. So you start as a young person, as a young individual, and you morph into what I want to be and how do I want to be paid and what type of career field do I want to enter into. So as a young child, you may see firefighters and doctors and lawyers and things that you see on TV. And how does that morph into what I want to be, as I grow into my career after I finish college or whatever the career path you decide to get into. So it's really a lifetime process, because, I didn't start out my original career as an HR professional. I transitioned into an HR professional. I started as just in management, just working in different like an office manager. I was then working into a service warranty manager position with a /HR role. But fully getting into HR, I developed, that's the passion that I wanted to get into. And I just solely took that opportunity to focus on what my natural talents were. And that was definitely HR. So in career development, it's a lifelong process. Just because you enter into one field doesn't mean that you have to stay there. It's forever evolving into what you want at the end of the day.
Exactly. So if I was to gather from what you just said, you're saying that career development is really lifetime development, if you will.
Yeah.
I don't know what happens after you retire, but but even though I will say, I know a lot of retirees and they're more busy than me. So, because they volunteer for so much, right? So that's another story. Right. So,
no, I definitely think, Judy, that you're right. It is a lifetime process and a lifetime thing, because when I retire, I just want to do consulting work full time. I don't want to, I want to do it on my own terms. So that's something that I'm going to develop into. But I'm starting now. I actually have a 9-to-5 job and I do my business on a part-time basis, but I have other individuals that I hire. I have a marketing team. I have customer service reps that can manage my business while I'm still working a full-time job. So those are the steps that I'm taking to build my business and build my enterprise, so I can leave something generational for my kids and their kids, and a legacy that I'm leaving for, my future.
Right. You see, now you're just like touching on some heavy duty, great stuff here that just gets me all worked up. I'm like, oh, she's talking about legacy, generational wealth. Those are things that, it turns me on. I'm like, all right. Okay. Those are like yummy topics. Okay.
Right.
We may have to bring you back in those. Okay. Great.
Yeah. But I think it starts with career development. It really starts as career development, and just where does your path lie, and you being responsible for your path.
Right, exactly. Pretty much. All right. So this is not necessarily on that question, but let me just deal with the questions as they come up. So Ephraim says, is HR primarily a woman's career? I don't see a lot of men in that field.
No, it is not just a woman's career. In my career path, I've been doing HR for over 15 years, and there's quite a few gentlemen. Actually, the higher level, the chief human resources officers, the VP of human resources, the director roles, those are mainly, they give them to the men in these roles. Of course, there's more women, as you see, like as an HR manager, there's more women in like a HR generalist role and things like that. But at some point, people transition careers. So if you're like, a VP of, let's just say, operations, and then you want to become a director of HR, those transferable skills can get you into whatever career path you want to be, because you already have the management, the training, the development, the leadership skills. So you're able to maneuver your way into these higher up roles because you already have the experience from another position. So no.
I would have to echo.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Finish up.
No, I was just saying there is plenty.
No, and I have to. You go. Go ahead.
I was just saying there's plenty of men and opportunity for men in the HR world, definitely.
Right. And I would have to echo exactly what Angela just said, Ephraim, because from my corporate career, there are women there, but as she said, a lot of the really senior positions were actually male-dominated positions. So no, I would have to agree with Angela and Ephraim. So if that's an area that you want to look into, so see, there's hope. There's no reason not to. And of course, Angela would be the perfect person to help guide you in that direct career path also. Okay.
Absolutely.
So, right. So let's meet us pause for a minute. So Mark Anthony, Victor, Ronnie, Allison. Hi, Mark. Mark number two, Mark Chambers and Mark Anthony. Thank you guys for watching us so far. Remember, feel free to share the live as well as ask your questions. So we just spoke about a second ago, what is career development? And based on the definition that Angela just shared with us, we also surmise that at the end of the day, it's a lifetime development path. Because as long as you are continue to live, you're continue to move, you're continue to grow as a person, and things may change, or sometimes they may evolve for you. So you may ultimately be consistently planning of how you may move your career forward, or whatever direction you want it to go. Alrighty. So the other question I wanted to ask was to lead over into, is career development the same as self-management? So before you answer the question, let me try to get some audience participation here. So guys, I'm going to put the question to you before the expert answers. All right. Do you think that career development and self-management is the same? So let me get some audience participation here. Tell me what you think. And, Angela would say yay or nay. I know I have some brilliant people here. Who wants to live on the wild side? Let me see. Nobody's gonna brave?
No one's brave enough. Come on, there's people out there.
And the people I see watching here, I know they're not shy. All right. I'm not gonna hold it up just for that. So all right. So again, I'm gonna repeat the question. So is career development the same as self-management, Angela?
I wouldn't say it was the same as self-management. I would say that it's a sub-bullet. So career development is your header, and then underneath career development is self-management, meaning that you need to own what your career looks like. No one else can take ownership in that. So they work together, but the career development is your header, and your subtitle, your sub-bullet would be self-management. So self-management is just making sure you're staying on track, making sure that you're holding yourself accountable for what you want to do in your career. I think that everyone has to own where they end up. I mean, you take one path maybe for money, and then another path for passion, but you got to ultimately own up to where you end up. I guess I want to say that. Yeah.
Right. So you just said something key where you said you take one path for money and one path for passion. So if we were to put that to, you always hear that saying that if you do the work you love, you'll never really have to worry about money. So
right.
I'm not sure if that's true, because I can love staying at home. And I'm not sure it's very much I'm gonna get paid. Right. Okay.
Right. No.
All right.
I think you're absolutely right, Judy, when you said that follow your passion, the money will come. My passion is human resources, and I love what I do, so it doesn't really feel like work to me. So it feels like, I'm doing something I love. I'm helping individuals. I'm helping people find opportunities. I'm more supporting and mentoring people. So that's my passion. I did it for free for a while, and then I said, hey, you know what? I need to start charging for my services because it's in high demand. And that's when the money started to come. So, it just it just overall evolved into a business. So
Right. Hey, Allison. And I see Ephraim saying, okay, Angela, was it difficult? Sorry for the typo. Was it difficult to I'm not sure. Was it difficult to get into the HR field, Ephraim? Is that what you're trying to ask? I'm not sure. Or was it difficult for her to start her business in that field? I'm not sure which one you're trying to ask. But Angela, tell you what, let's just humor him and answer it in both avenues, okay? So the first one, was it difficult to start your HR business?
Okay. So no, it wasn't difficult to start my HR business. It kind of morphed over the time. Like I said, I've been in business 9 years. Next year will be 10 years. But it kind of morphed. Like I said, I was doing it just out of helping people. And, you know, I was in the HR world, and being able to help people and mentor people. And I was like, okay, I'm on to something. And then it's like, you know what? I should just get into human resources. I'm already doing it as a profession. Now I can actually consult people and use my expertise in another way so I can make more money and build a business and build a brand. And that's eventually what I did, is build a brand.
Right, right. Okay. All righty. So just to you know, keeping back on our track of career development. So is there anything else that you think that we should explore about, because I know for you said the differences between whether it be career development versus self-management, you had explained that to be one is really just a subset of the other. From what you explained, I think I understand that to mean that, okay, I have my career development up here as the umbrella, but the self-management are the things that I do and keep myself accountable to reaching those milestones so that ultimately the management of my career can go wherever I want it to be and meet the objectives, my own personal goals, right?
Exactly. You're dead on. It's meeting your objectives, meeting your goals, and holding yourself accountable, because at the end of the day, you're accountable for your own actions in your own life and where it goes.
Right.
So definitely it's a subset of the career development as the header or the title, and moving forward to self-management is holding yourself accountable for the actions that you need to do.
Right. Okay. And I see Muggy Mac wrote, Ephraim, it's a myth that HR is predominantly a career for women. Well, not at the senior/leadership level. Well, that has been my experience. He says, hi, friend. That's Patois, guys. For those who don't know, I am Jamaican. Muggy Mac is British by way of Jamaica. But anyway, yeah, so Muggy Mac actually is in the HR field herself, too. So, yeah, so Ephraim, as you can see, you have two HR professionals here who are confirming, and I'm not an HR professional, but I'm corporate as a corporate professional. And that's been my experience also. So, of course, if you want to go in that field, Ephraim, yay, no problem. Okay. All right. So let's move on to another question. So again, guys, remember, if you have your questions, you have any, what you want to share with us, feel free to discuss and go ahead and share the live. All right. So our next question here is, are there any acid tests that you would advise any of our listeners to apply to themselves to test whether or not that they are developing their careers?
The only one that I've personally used in my career is the personality, like a career personality test, to kind of figure out who I am as an individual. I've had to take several of these in management positions. Actually recently just had to take one for a position that I went out for and actually got, director of HR role. And the personality test kind of just tells you who you are and your attributes. And at the end of the test, it'll give you kind of, you know, what somebody thinks of you in different categories and how you answer things. And are you assertive? You know, what type of leadership style you have, things like that. So I think having to just take your own personality test and get the results can kind of help you understand yourself, and that'll help you develop your career path as well. I think personality test is good just to know, have self-awareness.
Right, right. Well, to keep it on that same topic in terms of the personal assessment, as well as, you know, there are strength assessments, etc. I think that's something that everybody should take at least, you know, once or twice in their lifetime, because you'll be surprised how many times you think you're one way, but based on how you answer those questions, right, it tells you something else about yourself. Or you can be aware of it, but you did not understand to what level that you operate and pull from that part of your personality and who you are as a person more than the norm. And in addition to that, it can also tell you how it's impacting your career. You know, like say, for instance, if you're a very strong, like let's use as a minority women, professional women, oftentimes our personality may come over a bit stronger than the normal not so, strong person. And that can be used as a positive or a negative. So understanding those assessments sometimes can help us how we will maneuver ourselves in the corporate environment, with the soft skills, and how will we communicate if we have to communicate, even on a gender basis, right? How does that impact us? And then the other part too is knowing where your strengths are. And I know even within my coaching school, they do have certain coaching programs that's just totally centered around your strengths. What are your strengths, and how you can actually utilize your strength that even could be viewed negatively, how you will now put maybe modifications around those strengths, or how you communicate while using those strengths, and make that be a positive for you rather than a negative. So those are some of the things. And I know they have like the Myers-Briggs, they have this, there's a whole bunch of different ones that they have out there, that I know we can utilize. Yeah, and as you said, depending as more senior you get, usually you're being asked to do that. Right. So Muggy Mac just says, any tool that helps sense self-awareness is a gift. Amen to that. Okay. Right. I think self-awareness is such a big deal. I have my thoughts on it, but I would love to hear yours, in terms, since Muggy Mac brought that up. How do you think self-awareness plays into your upward mobility?
Well, self-awareness plays a big part, because you have to know, you have to identify with how your personality perceives to other people or portrays to other people. Because if you're self-aware, like I already know I'm an A-type personality. I'm very, leadership style. I get things done. I have a strong personality, and I'm aware of that. And so you have to know, are you an introvert? Are you an extrovert? What are your personalities? So then you can be able to communicate that to others, and other people know how to communicate with you, how to work with you. Like if you're on teams, what is my strong point? Am I a multitasker? So all of that plays a big part in your career development and in your career path, because if you know you're a strong leader, like I probably wouldn't be good as someone that like, I'm not trying to downplay any position, but let's just say if I was a receptionist and I just had to constantly answer phones and things like that, that's not my personality. I have to be somewhere where I'm leading something, guiding something, mentoring somebody, coaching somebody. That's just my personality, because I'm very outgoing. I'm a people person. And that's why I do very well in HR, because I can communicate with my employees. I'm able to give good advice. Sometimes I'm a social worker where I have to sit down and hear all their problems and how can I guide them through that. So, and also sometimes I'm a lawyer where I have to, look at the legal aspects, the risk management, things like that. So I put on all these different hats, but that's just the type of person that I am. And being self-aware of that, it helps me in my career development. So.
Right. And I mean, and that is so true, because like you, I mean, I could not, as you said, there's no position, as long as it's legal, I gotta put that out there. Okay. As long as it's legal, there's no problem, and in terms of a position. But as we're just talking about, as it would pertain to our particular personality, we wouldn't function too well. I mean, I could do it for a short time, but I wouldn't function too well. And I know another kind of job I wouldn't function too well is customer service, because they have to take so much from the public. My personality is not built that way. Like I can do it for a short time, but sometimes when you watch, they have to put up with so much. I'm like, okay, all right, moving right along. Okay, all right. So, Allison said the best assessment tool I have taken is the Real Talent MRI at realtalenthiring.com. Okay, all right. I haven't done that one, but I'm sure, as you said, there are different assessment tools. But either way you take it, if you do decide to do one, I guess do the research to figure out, based on what it offers and what it identifies, then it would make a difference in the ones that you choose to utilize. But it's something that's great whether or not you are in management, even if you're watching this right now and you just have, just finishing, whether it be high school or college, and you're going out there in the work world, you can never start too early. Because I think one of the things that if I was much younger and I knew exactly where I wanted to go with my life, what my passion is, what my purpose was, then usually people who identified at an earlier level, even if they switch along the way, the point is because they're more focused at an earlier point and they develop that awareness, they're usually more successful earlier in the game. We all get there eventually, but they get there earlier than we do. Okay. All right, guys. So if there's nothing else to add to that, then I guess we will continue to move through. Okay. So what are some of the approaches, actions, or tools that are used by top talent? And that's perfect because you tell me that, you also recruit for companies, right? That they utilize to basically determine what are the best talents for their business.
So so I'm going to put on my director of HR hat. And
Okay.
so the tools that we use to find top talent or career, to get people on board is normally like we use a recruiting or applicant tracking system that helps us identify key people based on what we enter into our system. So if we're looking for, let's just say, a project engineer, somebody of that sort, we'll put in our requirements for the job. Somebody will apply for that job, and then it kind of helps us streamline, the strong match versus, somebody that just has some more soft skills than the identifiable or what's the perfect match. So the applicant tracking system is something that's widely used in the human resources field to kind of weed out, as I want to say, the people that don't match the criteria that we're currently looking for a position. So I hope that answers your question. That's one of the major tools that we use. But then just in the interview process, you're going to be able to establish relationship with somebody, kind of get a feel for that person during the interview process, and have a small window into what they bring or what they're going to bring to the company. So the interview process is very key. Normally organizations will do like a phone interview first, just to kind of identify, okay, I see a resume. Now, does this person really can speak to their resume? And what attributes are they going to bring to the organization? So that's kind of like the first step. Then the second step is bringing that person in for a face-to-face interview. And then that's when you can kind of, really understand where that person is coming from. And then also, I think, and I said this on one of my other previous lives, is that 70% of it is if you're a cultural fit for an organization. The other 30% is, do you know stuff? Do you know what you're talking about? Can she speak to what she or he is doing in their career? And how long have they been in their career? What is their education background? Do you think, will they fit in with the current team? And 70% of it is cultural fit. So, a lot of people are like, oh, I don't know why, didn't get called back for, a job. And normally it's because you didn't fit in with the cultural ways of the organization. And I can give you an example of that. Example, if your cultural organization and their culture is to be fast and everything moves really fast, upbeat, let's just say for engineer, and the engineer needs to go out and be able to walk the floor and meet with the people on the floor and be able to talk to the labor employees and being able to dialogue, and they come into the interview and they're very timid or very shy, or they don't know how to talk to individuals, and they're just like more behind the desk people, and 90% of the job is behind the desk, and they're not really an outgoing type person where they can go on the shop floor and make things happen, make changes. That might not be the right person. They might not be a cultural fit, because our organization is very fast paced, very upbeat. And if this person is demonstrating very timid and shy behavior during the interview, they may not be the right person for the
Right.
position.
Right. And I can relate to that too, because I know in my organization, if you are very slow to respond, you will not fit in, because
Right.
it's a fast-paced organization. And, if I ask you what's your name and you say, my name, and there's this
Right.
long pregnant pause in
Right.
between, saying my name is Judy and Chung.
Right.
Okay, Houston, we may have a problem.
Right.
That may not immediately disqualify you immediately, because that could be just a one-off. But if throughout the rest of the conversation, then there are these constant pregnant pause and you cannot think quickly, then it may be cause for concern. All right, so Allison says, amen, cultural fit is so important, absolutely. And then she also says, you can't teach values, personality, work styles, etc. Skills can always be trained upon once you meet minimal competence. You know what? I am going to be transparent about that, because that is so true. A job I had a few years ago, it was a field that I've never worked in, right? But I did the research, right? Somebody recommended me for the job, and at the time I was laid off. So I was like, why not? I did all the research, no problem. So I went in to do the job, to do the interview. And while I did the interview, I was called back for the same job about 5 times, to the point I was getting a little bit annoyed, if I'm being honest with you, right? Because I was like, it's not rocket science, okay?
Right.
Just hire me. All right, let's get this over with, right? But I later found out, and I was hired on the spot based on this, what happened in the middle of the interview. The 5th one. Phone rings. He said, oh, I got to take this call because there was some urgent stuff going on. And he left the phone on speaker so I could hear. When I heard the conversation, I recognized the voice, right? So I'm not going to say the woman's name, but let's just say Angela. So I was like, hey, Angela, is that you? So he looks, you know her? I said, know her. So then she said, Judy Ann, girl. Okay. And that's literally what happened in the interview, right? So at that moment, his reason for calling me back so many times, because his high currency for his team was that he wanted someone who was trustworthy, who would not come in and rock his management boat and try to showboat and blah, 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 blah. He wanted someone who could just go along with the team, work together. Yes, you may have difference of opinions and share examples and, obviously give your input too. But ultimately, he didn't want somebody to come in and try to rock his team. So now that AKA Angela heard and was so emphatic, to take over the interview, he was like, oh, okay, I'm fine. You're hired. Okay. And literally, that is a true story. Okay. So, Allison, to make your point, at the time, that was a new area that I was going into. So no, I did not have expertise at all. I spent most of the time on Google calling people that I know that could tell me what I'm supposed to be doing. Okay.
Right.
And then obviously I'm a quick, learner. I pick up rather quickly. So then obviously, life was okay. And then when I was okay enough, I have no problems asking questions. If I don't know something, I'll say to you, well, I'm asking the question because after you tell me, I won't be silly anymore. We're good. All right. So, okay. All right. Muggy Mac says, whether top talent or not, take a page from those at the top of their game and Apple. Get support from outside of yourself, i.e. a mentor or coach. Coaches, and continuously, right, develop. If there is always a new iPhone offering something new of value, what about you? Hello. So as a matter of fact, Angela, let me just pull you in on this comment, right? So Muggy Mac, basically, she's saying that if the iPhone constantly is upgrading, so what about you consistently upgrading yourself too? So let's switch over into that, because that's part of career development.
Right. So in my career development, like I said, I've been in human resources for over 15 years, and I'm always, building myself up. So when I started in HR, I didn't have a degree at the time. and
Mm-hmm.
I got passed up on promotions because I didn't have the degree, which was a requirement of the organization. So it
Mm-hmm.
forced me to go back to school to get my bachelor's degree. And I would then
Right.
became an HR manager. And so as I wanted to go further in my career as a director of human resources, the
Mm-hmm.
requirement was for me to have a master's degree. So guess what?
Right.
I then went back and got my master's degree. So nothing,
Right.
no challenge that came up against me prevented me from doing what I wanted to do and where I wanted to go in my career. I took on the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
I got my degree, got my bachelor's degree in 2009, got my master's degree in 2015. And now I'm taking on another challenge, which is getting HR certified through the certifying body of HRCI. And that's just
Right.
a governing body for human resources professionals to where you can get certified. So I'm in the process of doing that. I'm studying for the senior professionals in human resources. So I'm always challenging myself, always trying to move myself forward and creating more opportunity and more growth for myself as a personal growth, professional growth, and just keeping myself abreast on all the new laws which come out every year. And as you know, I'm in the state of California, so we have the most stringent laws pretty much there is. So I always have to stay abreast on those by going to different seminars and different conferences and things like that, so I can stay on top of anything new that's
Mm-hmm.
coming out in the
Mm-hmm.
HR field.
Right. Yeah. I mean, as you said, the perpetual learning and the continuous learning is always so helpful. And so Allison is also agreeing with Muggy to say that coaches add immense value to personal and professional development. And you know what, Allison, you're exactly right. And not just because I'm a coach, but because having been coached, I think that's where you really, really get the value from it. And sometimes, when you go to church and you see people probably, at the altar and you're wondering and you think they're looking crazy in your opinion, right? Because you don't know what they're experiencing and no one can really explain it to you. Sometimes coaching can be like that. The real testimony to coaching is after you've been coached. After you've been coached, you sit there like, whoa, okay, because they allow you to see the answers that are within you in so many different ways to work towards that goal and to get there so much quicker than you would if you were trying to do it on your own, because it brings about a whole nother level of awareness, and also there's different tools to help you. Alrighty, so Tiffany, okay, awesome. All right, so and she says always grow. The more you learn and grow, the better the opportunities. Absolutely, Tiffany. All right, guys, so if you love what Angela is sharing with us here, we want to see some hearts, we want to be some loves, all that wonderful thing, including sharing too. So, all right, good. All right, all right, okay. So also, just to go back now to the topic at hand where I asked the question right now, who's responsible for your career development, right? Is it you alone? Is it a mutual partnership, or is it just the organization? So let's speak to that. What do you think?
I think it could be a mix. You can utilize them both at the same time or
Right.
one at a time. For me, it's always been my own goals. So I keep myself accountable for my own career development because I know where I want to go into my career.
Mhm.
Like I said, I'm doing both at one time. So right now I'm a director of HR, and as well as I'm also have my own business with consulting and mentoring and coaching and all that stuff as well.
Mhm.
So that's my own personal career development and my career goals. But far as having your company help you with career development, that's another aspect that you can go in and speak to your HR about is, I'm currently, let's just say, a customer service rep, but I really want to go into program management. How can I currently where I'm at as a customer service manager, what skills or what development or what tools do I need or what training do I need in order to get into program management and managing a whole program from start to finish? What does that look
Mhm.
like? So you can go and sit down with your HR professionals at your organization and be able to sit down with them, and then they should be able to outline a career path for you. And it may take a few years to get there, but at least if you know you're on the right track, you know exactly what you need to do to start, and then go to the ultimate is the end goal in being a program manager.
Right. Now, I want to follow up on a question with that, because I remember it's been raised to me before where I had staff who was hesitant to share their career aspirations with me because it wasn't in alignment with what our department, how we operate, what we did. So she was hesitant. And for me, I welcome transparency and I welcome honesty, because I don't want you to sit there miserable and feel that you have to hold something in. I will help you get to where you want to get to, because as a matter of fact, if you tell me from now, I can start to plan to help you and also plan to what I need to do to fill that position when you've also ultimately moved on, etc., if that's what happens, right? So some people say if it doesn't align with what the department currently does, they are going to be hesitant to share that aspiration. From an HR perspective, what advice would you give someone who's in that position?
Somebody that's in that position, I've actually had it happen several times over my career, and it's nothing wrong with where you currently are and where you want to go. I've had people come to me and say, oh, this is just a temporary stop for me. I'm doing customer service work right now, but my desires and my goals is to, own my own business one day. And, how can I do that by working here? Can you give me any personal advice to help me get to where I want to go? And of course, I'm going to open up and say, okay, you don't have your degree right now. So what I would advise, even owning your own business, I still am for getting your degree, because there's so much things that you learn and develop as a person by getting your degree. And it's just something that no one can take away from you. So just having that and something to fall back on, because even if you don't have a degree and you own your own business and you're very successful, what if something happens to the economy or something happens to that particular industry that you're in? Let's just say back in when 2008, 2009, when the real estate industry was booming, you didn't have to have a degree to be in real estate. But if you didn't have a degree and your business failed, then you at least have that degree to fall back on. So if I need to get back in there and get a 9-to-5, I'm still able and I'm still capable to do that. So these are the things that I just teach people lifelong, things that are going to help you throughout your career, not only now, but in the future. I mean, you never know what life is going to give to you. So at the end of the day, I always preach, having that degree at least will get you back in the workforce and something to fall back on. It's not the all to all, but it's something that is given to you, and no one could ever take that away from you.
Right. Okay. So, like even with my coaching, I have a full-time job. So what I did actually was when they, the part that talk about personal development, well, that's what I included as part of my personal development, that I want to do coaching. So my firm is quite aware that I am doing coaching, because I made it very clear that's one of the areas that I want to delve into. Okay, so Muggy Mac says, hashtag good managers coach. Absolutely. Even if that means that the employee moves on from you as the manager. Yeah, and that's what you want. Just a quick story. Young lady I used to work with, a job about 12 years back. And she was actually upset because she got the opportunity to move to a front office position. And unfortunately, the manager, she's great. And he, said no before sharing the information with her. Ultimately, the position came out again, and I don't know how she got to the conversation, but she was led to understand that she was held back, and she was most upset. So that actually caused her not only to want to get out of the department, but get out of the department with rapid haste, never to return. You know what I mean? So you basically lost that appropriate transition, and maybe, just having that good employee relationship for a lifetime, because you basically held somebody back from going towards their aspirations. Right. And just to tie this into coaching also, as Muggy Mac says, she says, good managers coach. And that is so true. Every good manager that I've ever had has been someone who's always willing to coach or even as a mentor in
Right.
terms of helping me get to the next level. So I read something and it says, if it is your job to manage your career development, but you should have the support from your organization as well. Now, I do think that is true because I have worked into companies that they're not big on training. They're not big on developing your skills, whether it be soft or hard skills. They're just not invested in that. So it would be a harder company for you to be able to develop yourself as a person. But with the staff that report to me, I've always say this. If you come into a firm and you leave the exact way you came in, that's a problem. All right. And I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about self-development. I
Right.
believe that when you enter into a firm, we've gone through years where firms have frozen pay increases because of, economic issues,
Hmm.
whatever. But the point is, I've always shared with the staff that reported to me at the time, okay, you may not get a pay increase, but you can go take a course. You can
Right.
go get certified in something. After the company have paid for that course for you and you have that certification and the knowledge within your brain, they cannot take that away from you. So there are more than, I always say, there are more than one ways to skin a cat, right? So if you didn't get a, right? If you didn't get the financial, remuneration, you can go ahead and get knowledge. Knowledge has that intrinsic value that the company cannot take away from you. So that's another way that you can also do your career development if you're not getting the monetary rewards, or even if your company is not investing in the training, you be proactive and say, you know what? I would want to learn XYZ. Can I go take the course? And in some instances, the company has already paid for a packaging of courses, so it's not any additional funds that has to be
Right.
expensed out. So that's something that I think is useful too. Okay, alrighty. So I have one other question there, but I'm going to leave it to last. But just to talk about some of the other research that I did, right? They said, like, okay, what are some of the ways that you as an employee could go ahead and do the career development? So I'm just going to read what I researched, right? And you just share your opinion. They says research job opportunities inside the company, right? And of course, I'm sure you can do it outside too. They also said study the profiles of successful people in your industry. What are they doing to be successful? What are their academic background, which you spoke about the degrees and stuff like that in the past. But it's not those degrees also, guys. Remember, not everybody's job will take them the academic route. There are jobs that would take you the skills path. But within the skills path, there's always a certification. If you're an electrician, there's going to be a certification that you will take to say that you are a licensed electrician. So don't think that we're just pouring it only on, corporate America or corporate, whatever country you're in. It's not only from a corporate level. We're just saying education, no matter what arena you're in. Okay. So then they also says, what are their career paths, right? And of course, we know in some cases the career path can be a bit of a zigzag, but take from it what you will. Then what professional associations do they belong to? All right. So that ties in a little bit now to the next part, which says reach out and network. Right? They said meet as many people as you can that can bring joining in professionals, that can mean joining professional associations, maintaining regular contact. So I think that's key because you have people that they only reach out to me when they've been laid off. Right? It would have been nice to get that, hey, Merry Christmas email or, Happy Thanksgiving. And it doesn't have to be a constant chatter, right? Because I don't do well with baseless chatter, right? So it can be that one quick hello, how are you? At least I know that you didn't just reach out to me just because you want something. So I think that's very key in your networking, right? And then they went on to say, okay, most executive studies show that 70-80% of all executive jobs are found through professional networking. They also say seek a mentor, seek a coach, volunteer, and be known. Okay, so So I'm just going to give you the subcategories so you remember them. Research job opportunities, study the profile of the successful people in your industry, reach out and network, seek a mentor slash a coach, volunteer and be known. Do you agree with those? Is there any others also that you can add?
I think those are pretty much dead on point. I think the networking thing is very, very key. Being
Mm-hmm.
able to have a strong network, maybe on your LinkedIn profile, making sure your profile looks good, and being able to inbox people and just saying, hey, is there any opportunity that we can have coffee together or a lunch? And being able to dialogue with one another in regards to maybe they're entering a new job field, or they're trying to enter into another
Mm-hmm.
career path and they just need some guidance. I have people all the time inboxing me on LinkedIn and just asking for that particular advice. If they want extensive advice, of course, I charge an hourly rate for that. But I'm more than willing to give them freebies here and there on what
Mm-hmm.
career path maybe they should take, or what are their soft skills they bring, and being able to guide them in a direction that can help them in their future. And then also having those words of encouragement, because a lot of people get down on themselves when they're looking for jobs and looking for opportunities. And
Right.
I just am that sounding board that they can go to and give them some guidance and some uplifting encouragement, or some encouraging words for them. But the ones that you listed, I think, are dead on.
Mm-hmm.
There's pretty much, I think networking is very important. And then just being able to be transparent. Transparent is possible, meaning
Right.
reaching out to people and just letting them know this is where I'm at. A lot of people are too prideful, and sometimes you got to
Right.
put pride aside and say, hey, I need
Mm-hmm.
somebody. Do you know anybody that can help me find opportunity? Do you know any recruiters in my area? Do you know somebody that can, network with, somebody that I can partner up with that can help me during this transitional period? Because if you're just trying to do it all yourself, sometimes it's a little bit too hard. You need a village to help you. So being able to be
Right.
transparent and being able to tell people I need the help is kind of the first step.
Right. Right. Totally. Okay. So Muggy Mac says entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs out there, self-development is also key in some ways more so. Okay. All right. So basically she's saying that whether you're intrapreneur or intrapreneur, I can't pronounce it. I'm totally butchering that word. Anyway. Lord have mercy. But anyway, basically she's saying depending on whether you're within the firm or you're going out for opportunities outside of the firm, that basically your self-development is key in more ways than one. Then in addition to that, she's saying that in this interconnected world, there is untold benefit from collaborating with great minds. Absolutely.
Right.
Me, Angela, right about now. Okay. All right. Collaborating with great minds, learning also occurs outside of academia. It's scintillating working with people who stretch and challenge you. Absolutely. And then she's also, echoing what you said, that it takes a village to help us. It's funny. I know growing up, we always says, okay, it takes a village to raise a child. And I think that's also written somewhere in my church. But they talk about raising a child, but I want to take it a next step further. I think even as an adult, it takes a
Right.
village to get you where you want to be. Because
Absolutely.
like me collaborating here with you, and I think Allison was on here before, where I collaborated with Allison also, it takes a village for all of us to reciprocate in some way or another to help us
Right.
get us to the next level. And I would not have been able to have this level of expert dialogue on more HR related career development if I didn't have an expert here to talk to. So of course we can see that what Muggy Mac's saying is so correct, and what you also said about the village. All right, so final question. We're at the top of the hour, and then we're going to close off after this. It says, okay, now ding 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 ding, this is the big one. All right. Okay, it says, how would you guide an emerging leader to approach this question? All right. So for all of you guys, I've been seeing a lot of graduates on my timeline, whether it be your kids or yourselves. If you're an emerging leader or you're already a leader, all right, said, if you were in business, would you buy from you? Meaning, given your knowledge, what's relevant to your current existence, industry, etc., or your knowledge base, would you buy from you? Or better still, would you even buy you?
So are you talking about me personally? Would I buy from myself? Or are you talking
No,
about
how would you tell emerging leader to answer that question?
Okay. So you got to look, how I want to say that is you want to look within yourself, your own toolbox, and what skill sets you're strong at, and being
Right.
able to portray those skills and being able to confidently speak to what you know and the knowledge that you have and what you've gained over the years. But you got to know what you bring. And I always say what you bring to the table. What are you bringing as an individual to a business, to a company? What skill sets do you have that are very strong, and what can you bring to any organization? So in my case, I have very strong communication skills. I'm very effective communicator. I'm a multitasker. So those are kind of like my strong skills. I'm very dependable. I'm reliable. When I say I'm going to do something, I put my best foot forward to do something. And I always say, your word is all you have, because once you go back on your word, people stop believing, what you're going to say or what you're going to do. So it's very important to be able to keep your word when you say you're going to do something, or at least in advance tell somebody I'm not able to do something. So being able to be credible, being able to be trustworthy, all those are good quality skills to have, whether you're starting a business or whether you're working for somebody else at a 9-to-5. You got to know what skill set, where your core qualities are, and how you can relate those or impact others.
Right, right. Okay. All right. And I know, and I think that an excellent response, because as you said, being able to identify what are your strong suits, what are those strong skill sets that you possess. In other words, that you can then be of value out there, whether it be to the organization or to starting your own business, and just being able to know. In knowing that, you'll also see where are your blind spots and what do you need to improve upon, i.e., your career development. Okay, so I just want to recap this real quickly. So we guys. For those of you who've joined late or will watch the replay, and you, especially if you have young graduates that are getting out there, or you're already in your career and you want to, consider in your career development, but you have not really gotten the chance to really work at it the way you'd like to. I hope you've been able to get some nuggets from this. I will also post where some of my research came from in terms of the web links, so you guys can free to read that on your own. But just again, to recap, we defined what career development is, and at the end of the day, just to sum it up, it's a lifetime process where we are continuously developing ourselves, whether it be professionally, from a business perspective, personal perspective, and even emotional perspective. We're just in a continuous cycle of self-improvement. We also spoke, was career development the same as self-management? And what Angela very eloquently described it is that actually self-management was a subset of the umbrella of career development, because it basically guides and holds you accountable to being able to meet the milestone that you've set at the career development level, right? And it gives you those action points. Then we spoke about what are some of those tests, those assessment tests that you can utilize to be able to recognize how is your personality working for you? What are your strengths? And what are the areas that you need to work on? How are you being perceived? And how does knowing that information work for you now in the type of environment that you need to be, i.e. the industry, the culture of a company? Then we also spoke about what does HR do to be able to get the best talent, right? The career sharks, how are they going to get the best talent out there? So Angela shares a hard tool that was actually used, but she also spoke about the interview process, understanding if you come into the company, do you match the culture or not? And I think she gave some statistics to say that I think it was 70% in some instances. Right.
70% cultural, yes.
Right, exactly. So that was very key to know, right? So you're sitting there wondering, I was so great for this job, why didn't I have it? And then, of course, we spoke about who was actually ultimately responsible. I think the unanimous answer is basically that we both are, but the corporation and you, but the onus comes first with you working in tangent with your corporation. So obviously you have to be assertive to get that out there. And then obviously from our participation here with the you guys out there, which were so good in terms of your commentary, Ephraim asking about whether or not this was a gender related industry. And of course, the resounding answer is no. As a matter of fact, those are usually the guys at the top. So ladies, we need to step it up in that industry, okay? Okay, we need to step it up there. There's an opening for us, obviously, right? And then ultimately, we spoke about what are some of the ways you can know whether or not you're utilizing your career development. So I listed, you know, the different 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which again, I would post in the comment section rather than keep going over time. So what I'm going to do now is turn it over to Angela to just say any last words that she wanted to share with us, and then we take it from there.
Okay. Well, thank you again, Judy, for having me on. I really appreciate the open dialogue. And if anyone else has any other career development questions, please leave it in the comments and me and Judy will be able to get back with you guys. Please share this. If you're watching the replay, please put replay in the comment section. That always helps us to see, you know, where our audience is. And then also, if you don't mind putting the city and state where you're from, that always helps us identify where our target audience is and where you guys are over the United States. And some people are not even in the States, they're globally. So it just kind of helps us identify that. I thank you again for letting me have this opportunity to speak about career development. And if anybody is interested in any of my services, like I said in the beginning, I do HR consulting, HR recruiting for companies. I also help with career development and also mentoring people into this great rewarding career of human resources. I have a 15 course program that helps you identify the step-by-step process and how to break into HR. So thank you again, Judy.
Right. And thank you so much for taking the time to sit and talk with me. And again, guys, my name is Judy Ann Chung, and I'm your leadership coach at Coaching You Upward, where I work with emerging leaders and I empower single women. So guys, it was always a blessing and a fun to be able to talk to you on Sundays. Take care. Have a nice rest of the evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, Angela.
Bye.
Bye-bye.